How did you do that?
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Global Hospitality Summit. I wanted to, first of all, before we get started and introduce our illustrious panel, I'm hoping that Ken Green will show up soon. We're hoping that he'll join us before we get started. But before we kick things off, I just first of all wanted to thank Dr. Jeffrey Yo for inviting all of us and having us a part of this wonderful experience. And for me, my name is Calvin Stovall, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer of Iconic Presentations, also president of the new and exciting crypto and tech hotel brand, EV Hotel. Yes, yes, yes. And also excited to have been a media sponsor for this wonderful event. So what I'm going to do is I wanted to give the panel an opportunity. What we're going to be talking about today is actually culture. We're going to be talking about the importance of culture and how to create it and cultivate a positive and supportive culture in a hospitality organization. I believe it was Peter Drucker, who's you all know as a management guru. He said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And that is one of the things that I truly believe. You can have the best strategy in the world, but without engaged and excited and motivated people to come to work every single day, it's just not going to work. So I believe culture is everything. And our panel does as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Adele and let her introduce herself. And I just want to ask you also, Adele, why don't you talk a little bit about, just quickly, what do you think a great culture is made of?
Oh, Calvin, thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm so excited to speak about this topic. It is closest to my heart. I quote Peter Drucker every day, I think. And I spent until March 13th of 2020, the last 20 years, at the Library Hotel Collection as the Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Revenue. And as a marketing and revenue person, I strictly worked on how to have a great reputation by listening to our guest feedback, by listening to our staff feedback, by making little tweaks, as Horst Schulze so perfectly stated it. I call them micro innovations. I'm a little more posh that way, but it really is. It's just tweaking little things along the way. And what I found was magically that creating a better guest experience, it created a culture all by itself, because exactly the same steps that you take in order to amplify your revenue and your financial success and your profitability by having a great reputation, the same exact steps builds your culture. And so now I'm passionate about culture. Who knew? And what do I think a great culture is? A great culture is, and this is again just expanding on what Horst Schulze said earlier today, when people feel excited to come to work every day because they want to do great work. They're not excited about getting a great paycheck, although, of course we expect to be paid fairly and generously for our time, but you want them to be internally motivated, not externally. So I love when people feel that their voice is being listened to, where they're appreciated for their talents, their generous passion for hospitality, what they bring to the table, where they have a freedom from fear. They're excited to be sharing their observations and what problems they found and collaborate together, because we're all focused on one thing, and that's making guests happy, making them feel comfortable, making them feel respected and cared for, all of those things, exactly as Horst Schulze was saying. So that is what I consider to be a great culture: freedom from fear, passion for hospitality, and feeling a part of a winning team, all focused in one direction. That feels great.
Absolutely, Adele. I couldn't agree with you more. That was great. Thank you for sharing. We're excited to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Chris, you're up. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about what you think defines a great, I guess, work culture.
All right, awesome. Well, my name's Chris Puntureri. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer for Iridescent Hotels. I think building a great culture has to almost go back. I would go back to Mr. Marriott, right? He believes in valuing people, because if you value your people, they'll take care of you. They'll take care of the guests, and the guests will take care of you in the community. So ultimately, it's being able to value your people and provide them with purpose that I think builds a culture. And also in doing so, you've got to be able to grow their skill sets. And I think also in that regard, it's accountability. I think if you hold account, and it's not just accountability for your people, and it's not just accountability for your leadership, but it's accountability as leaders at the top. If we're holding ourselves accountable for the goals and the values that we've put out for our people, you'll build loyalty with your people, because your people will always come back to you saying, hey, look, they're true to their word. So I think it's a big piece. And we always kind of reference back to Mr. Marriott and, valuing people. That's a big piece, out there. And I think that's why we have, a lot of, I think people have had a lot of time to think about, COVID-19, and working the long hours, and what are they actually working for? And I think building the structure around that and understanding the value of your people and guiding them in the right direction really, builds a great culture.
I agree 100%. Both of you share similar comments. I think people always want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? And I think culture plays a big role in that. So I have, of course, we've laid out questions that we want to talk a little bit about, and they're kind of laid out into a why, what, how type of situation, because we want to make sure people listening to us today can take back some things, just some practical tools that they can use back at their hotels or any service organization they happen to be working for. So let's talk about the why for a moment. Why is it important for hospitality leaders to take culture seriously? What are the risks of failure to change from the status quo? Because we can get complacent, and so I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
My pleasure. I would love to share that. If we don't change the status quo, well, you know what? People are unhappy. People are resigning. Even after the federal unemployment benefits went away, they still kept resigning and going to other places. And you know what? Even before that, we already had an employee turnover issue. We already had a very high, expensive for our industry employee turnover, because people were, as I think Peter Ritchie was just referring to, and actually I think Horst was referring to, being treated more like a pair of hands and being hired to do a task or a transaction instead of joining us on a mission. So I definitely think that if we don't change our industry, more people are going to be frustrated, more people are going to leave, more people are going to tell stories about how aggravating and unappreciating our industry can be. And it will hurt us. That social proof, that reputation is going to be harming us in our ability to attract great talent. On the other hand, and it's also, by the way, it's also costing us time and money. Time, not just because we're trying to hire new people and train new people. it's costing us the relationship we have with our guests. They're frustrated. They have untrained people at the desk, uninspired people at the desk. And so we're losing losing employees and losing guests revenue at the same time.
Yes.
Instead, we should be thinking about how we can grow our business by delivering better service. As was said before today, people are willing to pay more. Even, if there's a great deal across the street and somebody has all the facilities they need, they will come to you because they have a relationship with you. Your people treated them like a VIP, and they feel great about the experience of being with you. That's what creates true loyalty. We're spending so much money on acquiring new guests and acquiring new talent when we should be working on how we can keep the talents that we have and keep them happy and growing, so that when we need a new person to fill another position, we're not looking from the outside, we're growing from within. And that inspires people. Those stories of people's growth within the company, that inspires people as well. And there are companies, there are 3-star hotels, just like Juries, for example. I don't know anybody at Juries. I've never stayed at Juries, but I can just look at their reviews. They're delivering 5-star service with 3-star hotels. I know just based on that they must be doing something great for their staff to feel so committed to that. That means that we all can do it.
I love that, Adele. That's great. And you do it. We all know it costs more money to hire a new employee, and we know all that stuff. And I think that's a great, retain what you have, focus on the people you have. And I just love that approach. Yes. And grow them from within. I love that. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Adele kind of knocked it out of the park. I don't know what else to say.
Hey man, you got something to add. I know
but I think overall, the first outlook, looking at it from a third-party management company, we serve people, we serve our guests, and we serve, going through those guests, they get a taste of what we offer as support on the back end to our associates. So ultimately, if we're not taking care of our people, if we're not properly training, kind of like Adele said, it's the growth from within. Even our own organization, we have what's called the LIT program, which is Leaders in Training. And what we do is we go over, not only is it an operational piece and understanding of sales, it also has to do with people and culture and understanding how people think, how to be able to solve a concern with an associate based off of what their thought process is. I was raised differently, just like the two of you guys were raised differently, so my point of views are different than what your point of views are. So the more that we're able to work with our associates, to be able to understand how to properly mentor associates, or how to properly, mentor leaders, will only strengthen your leadership group. It'll only strengthen, people coming from up, from front desk supervisor, even a front desk associate, a houseman, so I completely, I'm in with that one. I think that at the end of the day, it's how you grow your people, right? And I think Mehul Patel from Newcrest Image said it best, that he grows his garden, right? And as he's growing his garden, he's referring to growing his people, and that's one thing that I learned when I worked at Newcrest Image, was that have programs in place that not only provide knowledge, that only provide, what it is to work in this environment in hospitality, but how can they still use those in everyday life? It's providing an outlet that's not only good for business, but it's providing an outlet what's good that you can use within your own work life, or not work life, but your own personal life, so I'm 100% agreement in that aspect, and I think as a third-party management company, when you lose your people, you lose a bigger struggle, because ultimately you're going to lose your hotels, because your ownership group isn't going to have faith in you either, so it shines all the way around, in that aspect of things. So, and I think overall, I mean, my belief, in the loss, I know that we hear a lot about, how the industry, we're not getting return people into the industry. They're not coming back because of their benefits, and they don't see the need. I think the press and all this is not being flexible enough with their schedules. It's not being able to provide, the ability to have a home life, working those 50, 60 hours a week. And I know Peter was talking about that earlier, that, when you've got, hourly associates not wanting to come back, and even some of your AGMs not wanting to come back, they're putting in the hours without, having the purpose, they're, on the other aspect of things, we're not providing the growth opportunities a lot of the time because we are short staffed and thrown into situations. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I agree with Adele completely. And I think on a third party aspect of things, you lose your opportunity to be able to operate properly, which overall will sink your business.
Yeah, and if I might just chime in on what you said.
Please.
I was attracted to the business because I so enjoyed an experience that I had when I was a dance major, and then I was a dance teacher, and I went to a resort, like a health spa kind of resort. And I loved the atmosphere, and everybody was so kind and wonderful to me. So I thought, oh, I want to be in this kind of a hospitality environment. And when I went to school and they invited me to go to an HSMA convention back in 1980, that was my first HSMA convention. Imagine that. And I came back from that experience and I said to my mother, I love these people. These are such beautiful, generous people who are all willing to help me. If I can learn to be like these people, so outgoing, so helpful, so upbeat, so generous, really from the heart. I was a student and they were so generous to spend their time with me. Now I am committed to be the same way to students. And I'm always so happy to speak at universities, just for free, because I just love to give back as was given to me. But that exactly what you mentioned, Chris, the fact that what built my professional skills was also building my personal skills and satisfying me from within. That is a satisfaction that you get from hospitality that I just don't know where else you find it quite the same way. Our industry built into the cake is so much joy for making the world a little bit better place by helping people have wonderful experiences, build memories, get closer to their families, get a break from the hardship of life, especially the last couple of years that we've had. And we can be like a healing balm for those people. We can be their ambassador to happiness if we are given the skills as employees, if we give our teams the skills and the freedom and the inspiration and the flexibility and just the opportunity to learn and grow, they can really enjoy their life. But we can't treat them like a pair of hands. We have to care about them. I always say that guests want to feel care, C-A-R-E, cared for, appreciated, respected at every encounter. Guess what? So do employees. They want to feel cared for, appreciated, and respected.
Absolutely.
And then we really need to make that happen. It's not just PR. We need to actually do it.
Yes. What is the quote? I believe it was John Maxwell said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
It's a good one.
That is a good one.
And that is I love that quote because it's so true. And we all know a lot of this leadership plays the biggest role in this because the culture is going to come from the top, and I just believe people mirror and they emulate what they see, and they have to see it from you first. And you're the one, you have to be the one and walk the talk and inspire the people around you, get them fired up, and they know that you truly care about their growth and development, and they're just not there as a spoke in a wheel. So all great points. Fabulous. Thank you so much. And that was great responses. All right, let's move to the what. Okay. What are some of the common misconceptions or inadvertent mistakes that are holding hospitality organizations back from creating this wonderful culture that we're talking about right now?
Well, here's the tough love coming.
Oh, here we go.
You know what? We have to have some level of self-awareness because, you know what? If you go to LinkedIn, as I do every day, all day, I'm always looking
Oh, yeah,
at LinkedIn.
we all are.
Every company has a great culture. Every single one of them. Look at me and my people. I'm appreciating my people so much. My people are just a big, happy family. Everything is great over here. And then you go on Facebook. You know what I see on Facebook? Employees saying how their life is living hell because they deal with the same problems. It's like a, what do you call it? Groundhog's Day.
Yes.
The same problem every day. They're doing the same thing. And you'll see it's a never-ending thing. Somebody will post something, you know, I can't believe I have to say this every single day. I have this kind of conflict with a guest where I have to explain blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And 100 others will chime in that same thing. Guests are so stupid. Oh my goodness. And you know what? It's not the guest's fault and it's not the employee's fault. It's our fault because we are not listening to what problems our staff is having, because it's our job to ask them, hey, you know that big, hairy, bodacious goal that we had about being the greatest hotel company? You know how it's our mission to make every guest happy, to make everybody feel super cared for and appreciated and respected. And what is happening in your day that is challenging you? What are you dealing with every day? What question are you being asked every day? What conflict, what friction point are you having to handle every day? And you know what? I'm going to give you an example. It's just something I saw this week. Someone mentioned, I cannot believe how many times I have to explain to a guest, I'm sorry, but you have adjacent rooms, not adjoining rooms. And the guest is upset. And of course, the staff member is trying to explain it. Why, if this happens at hotels around the world every single day, well, how about we change? How about we marketing people? Stop using words that are aggravating and causing confusion and frustration. Why don't we just say, we can give you 2 rooms next to each other, or do you want connecting rooms? Why don't we use words that everybody understands? But we instead go, I empower my team to handle the problem. But that's not your job. Your job is to help relieve the problem so that they don't have to deal with it every day. Get them out of Groundhog's Day. And as Horst Schulze said, tweak a little bit every day, a little micro renovation every day. Every time you see a friction point, say, this is how I'm going to make things better. That is what you need to wake up to. And you know, I'm going to give you another thing I want to talk about. I told you I went to my first HSMAI meeting conference in 1980, so I'm a very loyal member. But a team of people, the best of the best in the industry, came up with a list of 65 KPIs that hoteliers should watch.
Wow.
And you know, it did not include a single thing regarding customer service scores, net promoter scores, guest satisfaction, employee satisfaction, like nothing like that. And so I say, I believe it is because people don't want to hear the negative. We say that we want to break the silos. That's so
Mhm.
important for a great culture, right? We want to
Right.
break the silos. But we
Mhm.
have to break our own silo. We have to stop living in this little sheltered office.
Ivory tower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we need to serve our team and support our team by asking them every single day, what issues are you having? What questions are being asked? What happens to you every day, every day that's taking your time and needling you? How can I take that away? Let's collaborate about it and find a little tweak, like changing a word. Like, don't say adjacent and adjoining if you mean next to each other and connecting,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
that will solve a world of problems. Not everybody has the same understanding of hotel terminology that we have. Don't say a full size, don't say a double bed when you mean a full size bed. You know, be descriptive about what bed type it is. Be descriptive about your credit procedures. These things aggravate hotel front desks and guests every single day at hotels.
Mhm.
Be descriptive about the check-in process and needing everybody's name when they arrive, or you won't be able to check it. The wife won't be able to check in on because the reservation's under the husband's name. Change those little things in our communication, in our process, in our mindset. Small things that cost no money. We can change for the better a little bit every day. We need to just liberate ourselves from this idea that the way we've always done things is the right way and it must be done this way. I say to you exactly the opposite. A day without a little innovation to make tomorrow a little bit better than today, is not getting the job done. We need to embrace change and feedback.
I love it. I love it. That's great, Adele. The first question when we talked about the status quo, we do get comfortable with saying things a certain way. We've been in the industry a long time, and that's a lot of people. We got a lot of people that's been in it a long time. They're like, this is how it's always been done. Hey, man, things change, and it's great to change for the better. I love your idea around getting feedback. I want to just make a quick suggestion here. Hey, when you're doing brainstorming sessions at your hotel, you don't always should have just your leadership in there. You got to get your guest service people in there. They're the ones closest to the customer. It frustrates me when people say, oh, we're having a brainstorm. You walk in the room and it's just the leadership team. Where are the guests? Where are the front desk people at? Where are the housekeepers at? Where did and so you need them in there. You need those voices, that level of diversity to get the best solutions. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I think she hit it right on the head when it comes to, listening to feedback from our associates. I think that's a huge piece, and in following that aspect, we have what's called a color guard, right? And our color guard is not a supervisor, it's not a manager, it's literally a person at the front desk, a person in housekeeping. We've got somebody in maintenance that they have their own brainstorming session every other week to be able to get what is actually going on. Because as much as we want to say, hey, we worked a front desk shift this week, great, you work one front desk shift over 7 days. There's still, you got three desk shifts every day. So you still have 23 other shifts that you didn't see what was going on. You just sat into one. So to be able to sit and actually see what everybody is coming back with, ideas that weren't presented before, just like you said, I mean, we've all been in the industry for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
We know what's best.
Mhm.
Well, you know what was best based on what you were taught, right?
Yes.
Today's
Yes.
guest is different, and in doing so, you have to be able to follow the direction that an associate gives you. And it's not that they know more than you; they're just more involved with what the problem is or what the current situation is to give you the proper input. And it goes back again to being able to train to build a skill set. if you're willing to listen, truly listen to what people have to say, you'll be able to make things work, because there's different options that I have over the 20 years in the industry. I've seen many things, but though doesn't mean it's going to work in this situation, and those are things that we discuss with our leaders, is that it may have worked for me in Dallas, but it may not work for me in Dayton, Ohio,
Right.
So ultimately you're going to listen to what your leaders or your associates have to say, and you give input to help support them properly, not just say, well, this is the way it's always been before, so I'm going to go and do it. That's the good old boy network, right? And
Right. Right.
we could name off so many different people, that there are so many different companies that still believe in that aspect, whereas you want to keep that door open,
Mhm.
and what better way to build loyalty than allow associates to speak their voice and have input? You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's true buy-in to your culture.
That's
That's
right.
buy-in to what
Right.
you're trying to accomplish, and I think ultimately you've got to hold yourself accountable, whether that's a general manager, whether it's a director of sales, whether that's me as a COO, hold ourselves accountable to listening to our associates and helping them grow. Because during that process, that's what you're doing. You're mentoring somebody to let them know that when they move up, they have to listen to their associates as well.
Absolutely.
And I think another aspect of looking at ourselves is, Peter said it great, in the last session as I was leaving the session, is that we have to reevaluate the bottom line. I mean, my dad worked for the Texas State Teachers Association for 40 years, and he never once thought about leaving. He loved what he did. He loved the people he served, and ultimately, we have to look, and his organization wasn't worried about, hey, let's make a ton of money here, and that's what we have to kind of look at still, is go back and say, when did the dollar have to be $1,000 extra instead of $1?
Mhm.
Profit's profit, but we have to kind of look and say, hey, where do we draw the line? Is 44% GOP the number we have to be at, or can we take a little bit less to provide better benefits for our associates?
Mhm.
I mean, that's in showing your associates that you care about their health, about their concerns.
Mhm.
You drive so much more loyalty to yourself. You drive so much more loyalty into what you're trying to do, and I mean, to be able to provide better safety at this point coming out of COVID, a lot of, I think we talked about COVID, fog, that everybody's feeling at one point. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have an outlet to speak, whether it's, to your own VP of people and culture, or if it's being able to provide a program through, your insurance provider that allows them to be able to call and talk and have those conversations, with somebody that they don't feel they're going to be judged by, or that they're going to
Mhm.
judge their performance because maybe
Mhm.
they're having thoughts that they shouldn't be having, but they don't want to tell you
Right.
because you may look at them differently.
Right.
So I think we have, Adele hit it right on the head. We have to look at ourselves here,
Mhm.
as leaders, and it's not just leaders as GMs, it's leaders as organizations. Are
Yeah.
we going down the right path,
Yes.
for our people? And I think the more that we can look ourselves in the mirror and take the constructive criticism and say, this isn't right, the better off our associates are going to be, which ultimately end up being a better experience for the guest. And the
Yes.
guest, again, will go out and talk in the community, and it'll build and drive your revenue that way, and
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
it's valuing your people in that aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, but I say, I don't think that you're going to be taking a cut in revenue. I think that you're going to be able to command a lot higher occupancy, higher average rate, less expense on acquiring new guests and acquiring new talent. I think it's actually a money winning proposition to invest your time. And it's really more about investing time than about investing money,
Yes.
because they just need you to be aware and be willing to hear what the problems are and be facilitating conversation. How can we all work together to solve problems? And by the way, including your line staff in the conversation of how to solve problems, that's what teaches them how to be ready for management and leadership roles down the line, and how to make good decisions on their own so they don't have to ask for permission all the time,
Yes.
which is, of
Right.
course, the most frustrating thing for a guest.
Yes, so true. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. I could talk about this stuff all day. I know you can too, but I want to get to this last question because I think it's going to be critical. How can we begin to change? What are the top maybe 1 or 2 things or actions that leaders can take that will empower their company's future success regarding culture? What do you think they could do? 1 or 2 things they could take away.
You know what? I think you need to hire happy people whose faces light up when you share with them the mission and the culture. But you have to then take those people, and there's nothing so important as that daily huddle, the pre-shift huddle, whatever you want to call it. It's your opportunity to inspire people, train people, tell stories about what great hospitality looks like, to hear what people have to say, to bring attention to any issues that they have. It's just such an important thing. And I think a lot of people have neglected it over the last year. Oh, we didn't have time for that. But it's essential to great culture to have that time, and to make sure that everybody feels invited to speak their mind without fear.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adele. It's great points. Chris?
Yeah, I think my big thing is growing their skill set. Spend the time and effort to bring programs together or build programs to be able to help their skill set, not only when it comes to business, but how it grows them, their life story. I think that, we probably have roughly 50 years of relevance in our life when you graduate high school and college, and doing so, we need to be able to provide the proper education and training that not only will impact business, but their day-to-day life, and how they can use that moving forward. I mean, I just, when it comes to building people, that's just one of my key cornerstones. If anybody can tell at this point, I think that's huge, because you not only make the difference at work, but you always make the difference at home and their personal lives.
Man, y'all made some great points. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in my career is that as a leader, your primary role is to grow and develop your people. That's why you're there. And if they're not growing and developing, you're not doing something right. So before we close out of here, I wanted to I took some quick notes as you all were talking. And so here's the deal. Everybody listen, this is what we got today. We talked about culture and some things you could do. Remember, retention is important. We talked about retention, growing from within, right? Grow your garden. Focus on your people inside. Make sure you're creating an inclusive and caring environment. People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. All that, make sure you care about your people, all those wonderful things. Ask for your employees' feedback. Feedback is a gift. Don't be afraid of negative feedback. It is going to help you get better and grow. Get your employees out of Groundhog Day. I love that. That was awesome. Man, if it's stuff that's reoccurring and there's pain points, right? Fix them. Don't say this is how we always do things. Get rid of it. Make life easy for your guests and for your employees. Getting feedback from them is the best way to get buy-in. That's how you build a strong culture, and also be aware of your employees' mental state, and make sure you have services to help them, to have conversations if they need to outside of people that they work with. And be aware, self-aware. Look at yourself and hold yourself accountable to make some of these things and changes within your own culture. Did I get them?
Man, I think you hit it on the head.
NPS. What's your NPS?
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much to both of you. I really hate that we didn't have Ken here, but you guys were, of course, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. If you want to say any closing remarks, but I, again, just want to thank Dr. Jeffrey O for inviting all of us to be a part of this. Thank you. for allowing Iconic Presentations to be a media sponsor. And if you guys want to share something before we close out, I was honored to be a moderator today with you guys. Thank you very much.
If you listen to your reviews, don't say you don't have time for it because you're too high up there. Listen to your reviews and make changes, and you will always evolve as your guests' comments change and their guest requirements change. You will be changing with them when you're always tweaking, and the exactly same actions that you do to make the guest experience better will automatically, magically make the employee experience better, because those friction points will go away. They'll become hospitality heroes. They'll be learning how to problem solve, and they'll feel the joy of hospitality.
Chris, any closing remarks?
I don't have closing remarks, but I got a quick shout real quick. Dave Garb from Hyatt just threw out a shout out to me for my fun and educational podcast, the Pineapple's Flip Side. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out,
Cool.
check it out. We actually highlight essential associates, not managers, not leaders. This is essential associates. And we usually have a hospitality minute in there that we discuss something that maybe nobody else has been able to push through, or, go a little deeper in education, like when it comes to receiverships and stuff like that. We have some great people that come on and hop on. And then we also have, we discuss some fun stories from the hospitality industry, so if you've got a chance, hop on, check it out. It is a good time.
All right.
Then check out my podcast, the Hospitality Reputation Marketing Podcast.
All right.
Get great reviews.
All right. Great. Thank you. Again, thank you both so much. And enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody, thank you for listening in and watching us, and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
No problem.